Hey Florian, thanks for joining me today for an Espresso 4 episode. Super happy to have you. Was super glad to meet you at DIH Tour a couple of weeks back, and thank you for accepting my invite.
Thank you for inviting me, Filip.
Absolutely. Why don't we start off by having you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, so that the audience gets to know you, and then we can get right into it. In the meantime, I'll sip my coffee.
Yes, sure. Thanks, Filip. So thank you for the invite. It was a pleasure to meet you a few weeks ago. So I'm Florian. Basically, I'm a consultant. I have a background in supply chain. I've worked about 10 years in the industry for different kind of sectors: automotive, railway, retail, manufacturing. And then a few years ago, I decided to move from, let's say, corporate supply chain and move to consulting. And since then, I've worked in many areas in Europe, out of Europe, project in Mexico, for instance. Maybe we'll speak about it.
Yeah.
And as well, I'm also a teacher at university for 8 years now. I'm teaching warehouse management in France, and have also had a cooperation in Paris about innovation in supply chain.
Amazing, amazing. Glad to have a scholar, a gentleman and a scholar. So let's start with some like a high level subject, and then we can zoom in and kind of dissect it later on. You've worked in supply chain management for projects for better part of a decade right now. And we keep hearing that artificial intelligence, AI, can help us optimize supply chain management. Can you tell us how we can do that? Like how we can improve on the things that we're doing right now specifically, and especially if you have some examples that you can tell us.
Yes, sure. So maybe let's start with the concept. As you know, now I'm a teacher.
Sure.
Then let's try to put some concept here. So first, supply chain. I would say this concept has been revealed in the 90s or beginning of the 2000s. Before, we were mostly about logistics, transport, and then when we connect transport and logistics, we start to speak about a supply chain. Sure. So supply chain, at the end, what we intend to do is to bring a raw material to a product and to deliver it to a client or to a customer. But here it's something really basic. Sometimes we just say, okay, when I speak about supply chain, it's just taking a parcel, taking a pallet and deliver it. But a lot of people don't know what's happened behind the scene. And here is where supply chain is really interesting to me. Here, when we speak about supply chain, and then I will connect it with AI and data, basically. I would say that there are 3 key elements I would like to speak today to have an efficient supply chain. First one, at the end, if we deliver the product, we need to ensure the integrity of the goods that we want to bring to the client. Because after all the effort we will do with different chains, different processes, if at the end the product is destroyed or has got a damage, it will be really, really bad for the client. So here first will be the integrity of the product. So second element is a lead time. It's not to deliver as fast as possible, but it's to deliver a product or goods in a time frame which a client is willing to pay for or is willing to accept.
Sure.
So we have seen now with e-commerce, you can order by 12, and in the next 4 hours, you have the product at home already by your postman. So that can be great. But then we will also speak about sustainable supply chain, and we will see how to combine the factors about delivering fast, but as well to optimize the volume to be sustainable. And the last one, the third, is a cost. So you need to be cost efficient. And for that, we speak about volumes, optimization. And as I said, the challenge will be how to optimize, reduce the footprint, reduce the cost, and at the same time, deliver in a really short period of time. So here are the 3 main concepts. And it reminds me something I've been working on when I was a student. I applied for a master degree in supply chain, and the process was first to send your CV, your application, your motivation, why you would like to do so. And then we had to write down like a thesis. And my thesis, the topic I've chosen was why stock is a necessary evil for the world.
Sure.
And here we can see that, okay, AI is definitely a lever to optimize the supply chain. As you know, you need to have a stock somewhere just to allow your client or your customer to get the goods in time.
Mhm.
So at the end, we can introduce here the concept of AI, that we need to optimize the flows of the supply chain in order to reduce the cost and to reduce the waste of material as well.
Mhm.
Then I would like to as well to speak about AI and how in supply chain we can use it. So I think the next question would be about predictive maintenance, or what we can predict with the AI when we master the data.
Sure. In
Here,
fact,
yes. So here, I would say that AI is a way to use the data we have. It's a new goal for this century, and by predicting what could happen next is a way to optimize the supply chain, because as I said at the beginning, we need to optimize the cost, the lead time, and at the end we need to bring the product with the good in a good shape at the client. Then if we go through the data, because if you don't have any data, you cannot process any AI. I think it's a basic here.
the main ingredient.
It's the main ingredient for the recipe. So let's go to the recipe and see how we can make something good with that. So when we speak about data, and I think in your experience, if you want to apply any algorithm, any AI to get the best value of the data, you will need to first to clean the data. You need to see where the deviation, what are scrap, what are not in a good variation.
Sure.
So
there's a lot of noise.
So exactly. So we need to reduce the noise, and this one will be the first step if we go to an AI or data project.
Mhm.
Then I would say as well that for the data, we can be a different step. So the first step is to create the data. So in some case, you are trying to optimize the supply chain process, such, I don't know, the picking of the product, so to prepare an order for your client. Here, what are the key levers we have? So the first one is for the picker, so the worker who will prepare the order, is to optimize the movement into the warehouse. And here we can have the first method, which is to collect the data based on the path established by the WMS, so the system which control the stock and the ordering process.
Warehouse management system,
WMS, you're right. And here, and then so that was the first step. We're using the data we had in the system to optimize the path, to optimize the movement, and to get productivity. And then the next topic was, okay, how we could connect, how we could connect the worker and the other element of the warehouse. So you have colleagues, you have got a forklift, truck driver, and you have got different departments working in the same warehouse. And there we started to think about, okay, how to collect the data that for now we don't have. And we started to integrate into the processes, supply chain processes, any kind of Internet of Things. So to bring live an asset, which for now is just collecting the data, but you cannot explore what's behind. So here, I would say AI will also bring the data to a next level. And if we can make a correlation between an existing data and a new one that you create, then you bring value at the end. to the whole supply chain.
Sure.
So we need to create the data. Then we need to process or to mine the data. So to see how we can get a potential, measure it, and then evaluate the results.
Okay.
And the last one will be, I would say, how to get an history of your data. So to see in the past what's happened. And then here we can introduce another concept, which is machine learning.
Sure.
So you want to use the past events to not reproduce a mistake, and maybe to see the habits you have in a warehouse, in a transport chain, in any place, just to optimize what you do and do better and better.
Fair enough. Thank you. If I can summarize and distill what you've just told us, basically, and you've told us quite a lot. Thank you for an extensive explanation. It is somewhat of a recent development that we're thinking of a supply chain in the context of more than just transport and logistics, but as many chains from the raw material producer all the way to the end customer, right? And the way that the AI optimization helps is with the data between all these so far siloed, let's say, categories. There's a data flow, traceability, and when applying AI and machine learning, we can find correlations, find trends, have information at unprecedented speed in order to cut the lead time, make sure that the product gets to a client as fast as possible and in good conditions. And of course, cut the costs in the process by optimizing everything, right?
Yes, and if all of that, we can as well get some sustainable process.
Yeah,
that I think is the supply chain of tomorrow.
Fair enough. Now, having a view in the production is obviously key element in this supply chain, right?
Yes, it's the first step.
Yeah, and having a good insight into your production, sort of a smart monitoring solution, is paramount, but not enough in and of itself. Where we're heading right now is having certain predictive analytics and predicting how your production will act in the future, right? And one of the key value drivers there is predicting maintenance. So avoiding downtime and so on and so forth. You've, in fact, worked on a predictive maintenance project, and I wanted to, without divulging any names, if you will, if you can give us a little bit of an insight into how that went and how it affected the value chain.
Thank you, Filip, for the question. Yes, actually, I've worked on few predictive maintenance projects. I would like to pick up just one. It was so yes, I cannot disclose the name, obviously, but yes, it was a national railway infrastructure company in Europe. And the aim was to maintain the rail, the catenary, so all the system to bring electricity to a train, and the signalization. So how to smooth the railway traffic with the right signalization and to be on time. So here's the target of my client. Basically, he had already all the system to collect data. So he had a system for the rail, he had a system for the signalization, and he had another system for the electricity power system for the catenary.
So you already had the ingredients.
Yes, all the ingredients were there.
You just needed the baker.
He needed a baker, but more than that. Actually, he needed to find a way to make a correlation between all of these individual systems. And here started the project. The project was to have a platform where you can analyze the data, the life cycle of your assets, of your network, basically, and then to just to see how we can connect a failure type from one system to another. So I don't know, we could try to see when a signalization system is not efficient enough. We can see that the rail can be used in a not normal manner. So with this platform, we have tried to basically improve this correlation, and the stake for the client were quite big because he was managing, I would say, millions of euro of assets in the country, and for sure, here I'm just speaking about the network.
Yeah.
But then you need to think about the client and the user of the network. So if your network, so the railway network, is not optimized, not working properly, then we all know, or unfortunately, we all have these adventures for Christmas time. We need to take the train to come back to our family, and then train has got some delay, or you have this nice voice on the mic telling you, we had some technical issue on the railway, we need to postpone the departure, blah, blah, blah. So here, what in fact the biggest stake for the project. So predictive maintenance is one thing, but the big picture is to improve the network, and at the end to give the good service to the customer, to just take the train from A to B, being on time. And yes, that was a target, and just to be on time for Christmas with family.
Got it. In fact, I can, speaking from personal experience, at least, it doesn't matter if it's Christmas or if it's just a regular Tuesday. I can tell you, I hate when I hear that announcement. There's a maintenance problem and there's a delay as a consequence. So on behalf of every public transport user, thank you. And I think this is in particular where AI in predictive maintenance shines in an example of a process, let's put it that way, not necessarily a production process, but a process where there's many nodes and tags and data points, right, that you need to correlate and make very fast calculations, and also predict how they will behave depending on if this data point way over there in the beginning of the process or in the middle of the process, how that goes one way, or it's anomalous, how that would affect everyone else, right?
Exactly.
So that's in fact very cool. Some industrials are finding out that by tapping into their data, they can unlock other streams of revenue, right? Can you give us an example of one of the projects that you worked where a customer of yours or client of yours has discovered this? Because we spoke about data and how it's an important recipe. We've mentioned it a couple of times. But apart from optimizing your current, let's say, business, right? It can also bring value in terms of discovering other ways to produce revenue, right?
Yes, thank you, Filip, for asking the question, because basically, when we speak about supply chain, when we speak about maintenance, we focus on the cost, and we don't focus on the value or the revenue. No. And here, I would like to be a bit more optimistic, let's say, because actually, before being a consultant, I've worked for different corporate, and I had a chance to work for a logistic provider within the innovation team, and there we had basically two approaches. The first one was so-called business innovation. So what was kind of the good part of the department, where the target was to bring new way to get revenues, with new way of pricing and changing the business model of the company.
Sure.
So they were, let's say, pulling for more revenue. And the other part of the team, where I was, were focused on technological innovation. So how to bring the technology into our logistics and transport processes. And here, actually, when you speak about, okay, innovation into logistic processes, you need to invest. You need to buy the technology or to rent it. You need to make a lot of research to see how you can optimize the lead time, quality of the product, or any kind of other parameters. And here it was a bit frustrating for me that for my other colleagues were focused on the revenues, was quite easy to get any budget for marketing, advertising, and to deliver a new offer on the market. And on our side, it was frustrating just to, every year going back to the CEO, we have this project, we need more money, we are a bit short because, it's research and development. It's not like a regular project. So
the ROI is unclear.
Yes. Basically, we are building our own ROI. And if you don't want to kill innovation, you need first to focus on the idea, try them, make proof of concept. And then when you find out the concept, then you can speak about return on investment.
Sure.
So here, in fact, I was a bit frustrated, and I've tried basically to combine the technological innovation with the business innovation. And here we were working on a project. So now the product is on the market, so I can speak freely about it. We were working on something quite cool. We were trying to make with image processing. We wanted to use this kind of algorithm to count the pallets.
Okay.
So the business case could be in a warehouse or in a truck. So the idea first, the business case we had was to secure the freight in a trailer, in a lorry. And for that, we used such a Kinect system, you might know, used by Microsoft for this game, where the system can catch your movement and then you play with no remote. And so we had to invest a lot in R&D. We work with a lab to just develop the system and to get the right level of measurements of a pallet, because basically we were trying to measure how many cubic meter was in the pallet, how many pallets we had in the truck, and then just to check when the truck driver goes to a shop or to a warehouse, if what he had to deliver has been properly delivered, if there is no missing pallet or in a truck, or I don't know, just to check if everything was okay. And then we tried to see, okay, with this system, how we could generate a revenue. And at the same time, in this company, we were also building a marketplace for transport. And then we had, I would say, a crazy idea to connect the marketplace with the device. And the business case was quite easy. As a transport has low margin, basically, you need all the time to full your trailer as much as possible.
Sure.
And sometimes you can take a full trailer of 33 pallets and you deliver them to your client.
Yeah.
And sometimes you will have like some batch of 5, 6, 10 pallets, and you will make like the milk run that you will drop the pallets. And there we wanted to have a smart trailer which will be able to directly, let's say, speak with the market trade, freight exchange, basically, and see, okay, and just to say, okay, I'm a trailer, I've empty like 10 cubic meter.
Sure.
And just tell me if with geolocalization, if you localize me on the map, just tell me if somewhere I could take some other pallet, buy them, and then deliver them to another client. So we've tried to generate revenue with this system. And it's thanks to that, we could sell internally the idea to my colleagues from transport department to agree to test the material. So this was one idea or one of my experience where we try to combine technological innovation and making revenue with a new technology. Sure. And here I think we could basically deep dive with different kind of sectors, industry, to find a way to make more revenue with the data we collect or we have.
That's a pretty cool project. Basically, you're optimizing the real estate within the freight, the truck.
Yes.
That's pretty cool. Okay, Florian. Well, enough of the serious talk. Let's get to know you a little bit more as a person. You're also human, even though
somehow,
yeah,
yes.
Even professors are humans. I'm just kidding. But can you tell us a little bit? If I called you on a Sunday at 2 p.m., what would I be interrupting you in?
So basically, on Sunday, you could interrupt me in two activities. First one would be having lunch with friends, family.
Sure.
That's something I do like.
Do you do it outside in a restaurant, or like you go to your family's house?
Oh, can be both. We like to cook, so can be in my house or in my flat actually, for cooking for friends, or can be as well in a restaurant. Depends on the mood of the day.
What's your best dish?
My best dish, have some roots from South Europe, so I would say pasta with pesto, for instance. So
nice.
that's something I do like. With seafood as well, can be a good mix. And the second activity will be hiking or trekking with my wife. Here in Luxembourg, we have this so-called little Switzerland in the area. So you could find us somewhere there hiking and taking fresh air.
Are you part of the Luxembourg hiking group?
Not yet, but
Yeah.
might be an invitation maybe.
Yeah, my wife is, so I'll ask her to invite, and I don't know how that works. She just brings me on. But yeah, maybe I'll meet you in one of those hikes. Okay, and what is the coolest thing in tech that you've recently seen, if anything?
I must admit, it's a tough question.
As full of tough questions here,
yes, because actually, as I said, I worked a few years ago for 3 years in an R&D department. So, working ahead of the regular business.
Sure.
And basically, the coolest thing that I've seen was 5 years ago when I was working on the technologies that now are coming live.
Sure.
So the coolest thing I've done or I've worked with was image processing. So to see how a camera, thanks to an algorithm, or how an algorithm, thanks to a camera, let's put it that way, can track, measure something. Here I would just keep the industrial purpose. I don't want to go to any other topics there. But yes, this one was really pretty cool, and to see how the guy who was programming the algorithm was able to improve it week by week by learning, connecting new data, and just learning from the habits of the people around. So yes, this one was really fantastic, but was already over 5 years ago. So
got it. Okay, so it's type of a computer vision project.
Exactly. That was pretty cool.
Understood. Well, thank you, Florian, for stopping by, having coffee with me. I know you're a busy guy, and it's late in the day. Hope to have you soon again.
Thank you, Filip. Hope to and see you.
Absolutely. Ciao.
Ciao.